Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our May Spider History with JR. What's going on, JR?
All right. April showers have now brought maximum carnage flowers.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've got some bad news for the ones that were just watching us. George is going to bed. He is not going to be joining us. He says he cannot do another episode, so he's tapping out when we said Carnage and Venom. So he's going to bed. But the people are flying in for this one. They've been wanting for years to see you review Maximum Carnage, and they're about to see it. So let me pull up the issue. It started with a brand new ongoing. It wasn't an ongoing. It was a quarterly book.
Well, but still was an ongoing.
It was an ongoing, yes. Yeah. So let me pull it up. It was Spider-Man Unlimited number 1.
I am so disappointed that George will not make it. Part of the fun was going to be seeing the agony on his face during every stupid moment.
Well, it's all right. Then that's an iconic Ron Lim cover. I mean, you see that one a lot. Carnage in the sky, Spider-Man swinging towards you.
Which is kind of funny. You mentioned that iconic Ron Lim cover, because one of the very reasons for the existence of Spider-Man Unlimited was for Ron Lim to do it. So, because
he was doing Silver Surfer about it this time, I think, around the Jim Starlin Infinity Gauntlet stuff. So,
I mean, that I don't know, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. All right, we got some comments coming in. Toby Z goes, finally, Maximum Carnage, yes. Bob says, welcome back. All right, let's get the marathon from hell started, says Matt. Didymus recommends for this episode, I use the Carnage Rules by Green Jelly for the intro music. The Carnage Rules song is from the Maximum Carnage video game. Did you ever play that, JR?
No.
You never played that?
Nope.
George is not here on the show because he was upset about the commenters' misuse of ellipses, possibly.
I'll believe that.
Hornacek also says George didn't like the Iron Man 1963 to 1993 logo on the cover, and he said, I'm out. Yes, this was Iron Man's 30th anniversary when this book came out in May, or the cover date of May 1993, the year I graduated high school.
You know, that's funny. That's strange. You're going to max the Marvel Unlimited for this, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Because I have the cover, or I have the actual issue, and Iron Man does not show up. It's well, you probably can't see it.
Turn it. Well, you got the barcode here.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
Well, that means you bought the newsstand issue instead of the direct market.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Donnie D says that was a really fun video game. I never played it either. And I didn't have a Super Nintendo. My uncle did, so he never bought that one. So, McNulty's in the house. Hooray, it's Maximum Carnage, the most successful, awful comic of all times because it had a video game. Yes, true, McNulty. All right, JR, this one, we've got plenty of time. There's no show coming up after this one. You can spend as much time as you would like on these 5 issues as you would like.
I will try to not tax the audience's patience, and I will try to be as entertaining as possible.
Yes. But, all right, here we go.
It is 1993, boys and girls.
Yep.
And 4 monthly Spider-Man titles are simply not enough. So we have Spider-Man Unlimited.
Yes.
And starting off, we have Maximum Carnage, one of the most blatant examples of commerce over content and the utter futility of even questioning the logic of such a stupid idea, because the reasons for its existence
money. Money. If you can get that, I mean, that's why it exists.
The reasons for its existence and its subsequent economic success trounce whatever logic you try to use to argue against it, because there's no arguing against its success when you look at it from that way. Now, Comic Book Resources is actually doing a series on the origins of Maximum Carnage. Or at least they say that it's a series. It's No Life of Riley. And I'm not sure some of the feedback that they're getting are people who are actually involved in it, or if they're just talking about it. but part of it is, some of them seemed more interested in saying something clever than actually talking about how the stories evolved. But it does have some useful information, some of which I didn't realize. And because I was trying to research, when you think about something like Maximum Carnage, you think, how did something awful like this get started? What was its origin? What was its genesis? What were going through people's minds when they came up with this thing? Well, apparently it was Danny Fingeroff's idea. And of course, Danny Fingeroff of the I don't know if Peter's parents are real or not. Let's take 2 years to figure it out.
Because he was the editor of Amazing, right?
Yeah. Yep. And these type of stories were the rage at the time. It's kind of hard to remember, particularly for those of you who weren't there at the time, which I begin to realize that now that it's 28 years later, there were a lot of you not there at the time. And even those of us who were, obviously the internet, social media, none of that stuff. So a lot of things, we had no idea why things were happening, that they were happening. And I'm trying to think
you could maybe pick up Wizard and find out something's coming, but that was the extent of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently, but these type of big, monstrous, mindless crossovers were the rage. Yeah. You had a few months ago, you'd had Death of Superman. A few months ago, you'd also had X-Men's Executioner song. Now, I didn't know anything about. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know anything about it because I couldn't care less about the X-Men.
I read it. Yeah,
but was it any good?
I can't remember what the story was, so obviously not. However, I'm trying to think if this was Spider-Man's first big crossover, but I think it's his second because the first one was Kraven's Last Hunt. That one went through all the books.
And actually, they mentioned that how many crossovers had Spider-Man really had.
Is this number 2?
They just mentioned that Kraven's had been one. Had been one of the early ones.
That's back in '87. This is '93. Yeah. So yeah.
But anyway, this time, and they mentioned in the CBR article that everybody remembers the Death of Superman and how much it sold, but nobody remembered that Executioner song sold 500 to 6,000 copies a month.
Well, that's because X-Men were as hot as they were ever going to be.
Yeah. And 90s, Nightfall, actually, Batman Nightfall was happening at exactly the same time. It was in the water. Everybody was doing them. You know? But another notable reason was, and this is according to CBR, credit where credit is due, is this was part of Marvel's push to not lose all of their artists to Image, because they were losing a lot of them to Image. After the Image founders left, Marvel replaced them, and then Image took all the replacements. So Marvel had to make some moves to keep the remaining artists. They made deals with Mark Bagley, the Kubert brothers, and part of their move, and I'm quoting this, part of their move to keep Ron Lim in their stable was to give him a brand new Spider-Man series.
Which an artist, they get a lot of money for selling a first issue.
Yep.
So a lot of money went to Ron Lim for this issue, especially since it's the first part. That's probably why they did the first part in this big new number 1. They would sell a lot of copies, keep Ron Lim, give him some money. Yeah, I can see that.
It was a way of keeping some of the artists happy.
And Ron Lim is still at Marvel all these years later. He's doing variant covers. He's been working at Marvel for 30 plus years.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was
I guess it worked then, didn't it?
It kept him around for 30 years. So he's been consistently working. Yeah.
So, and not only that, but Maximum Executioner is one that introduced the legacy virus. Oh, huh. Okay. Yeah.
There you go, Nick Nolte.
Yeah. Anyway, so 3 trade paperback releases over the years and a successful video game, again, illustrated that no matter what kind of crimes this series committed against comics, this story, it simply doesn't matter. Because the only thing that matters is the green, and
this thing was bleeding money. This thing made a lot of money for Marvel.
Yep.
Still to this day does. The trades are still released.
Yep.
Of this.
Yep. I think the last one was released in 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was like the third version.
Yep. Exactly.
So anyway, the story begins. All right, with Cletus Cassidy being wheeled into, and I can't even muster up the effort to make the arc Ravencroft. All right,
It looks straight up like the Joker, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
straight up like the Joker.
Larson has admitted that Cassidy was based on the Joker. The Cassidy's look was based on the Joker.
Yeah. By the way, our friend Tom DeFalco wrote this too. We didn't talk about that. Yeah.
So he's being wheeled in on a gurney and introducing us to insipid dialogue, which is supposed to make us realize that, yes, this dude is crazy. Here comes a bride all dressed in white. I wish it was red. Then you'd all be dead. Ha, 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 ha. I mean, how do crazy people really talk? Crazy people really talk like this? Anyway, I don't know. Turns out, I don't know. I should ask my wife. I should tape the conversations with my wife, and then I'll remember how crazy people talk. But anyway, all right. So it turns out the scientist and Ravencroft want to conduct experiments on him. So they brought him in from the vault, where apparently he's behaved and he's had a clean bill of health, except for some anomaly in his blood, which I wonder what that is. Anyway, this stupid ass doctor, and God, sometimes these stories are so dreadful because otherwise smart people are so stupid. Okay. So she thinks this anomaly may be a manifestation of a chemical imbalance which causes mental illness. If we can isolate it and analyze it, we may eventually learn how to treat people like you.
It's a symbiote, lady.
Nothing is gonna go wrong with this, is there?
No.
I tell you, and I can tell you what the cure for people like Cassidy is.
Yeah.
All right. In comics and in real life. All right.
The death penalty, huh?
A small, compact projectile composed of lead injected at a high rate of speed into the base of the skull. All right. Man. That is the only foolproof cure for recidivism. But that's another story. All right. Well, the anomaly, of course, is the Carnage symbiote, which has just been biding its time and now manifests itself. And once again, Carnage is unleashed and announces that he's going to kill everyone in Ravencroft because, of course, he is. Now, there's some discussion, that goes through this series, which I'm going to ignore. Apparently, the Carnage symbiote was supposedly dead. How could it possibly come back? Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Whatever. It's a symbiote. It always comes back. JR let out a family secret. Oh, really? I don't think so. Not if you've been listening to this podcast for the last 15 years.
Matt says Dr. JR's cure for supervillainy is a bullet. Yeah.
So the scene switches to Harry Osborn's funeral because, as you know, in the recent, as of this time, Spectacular Spider-Man number 200, poor Harry met his death due to a reaction to a toxic remixture of the Goblin formula, or so we thought.
That happened last month, Spec 200, right?
Yeah, I did. Because actually, or maybe even this very month, because a later part of Maximum Carnage is Spec 201. So it could have been the very month, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, really recent. I mean, it was all relatively the same period of time. Of course, we thought Harry was dead. But he never really died. Apparently, he was just spirited away by Mysterio under Norman Osborn's direction, because Norman Osborn, the mastermind behind the Clone Saga and faking his own exile and death and coming back from the dead, he needed help to fake Harry's death. Well, of course he did. But then again, we really don't know if that's true either, given the current events of Amazing Spider-Man. So we don't know what's going on. But just take our word for it, boys and girls. At this time, Harry Osborn is dead. All right.
Yes.
So Flash is there, and Felicia's there, and because Felicia is dating Flash at this time, and Peter's thinking that she's the only one besides Mary Jane who knows that I'm secretly Spider-Man. Because why would this be going through Peter? I mean, why is Peter even thinking this? At the time, there's this woman there that is the only other one who knows I'm secretly Spider-Man.
Only at a Marvel funeral do you get a dude like Molten Man show up in a tux.
Yeah, Molten Man shows up. Yep, with Liz, Robbie and Jonah are there, and as well as Aunt May, and because it's taking place in that time period, Richard and Mary Parker, robot parents.
Robot parents. No, we don't know yet.
We don't know yet that the robot parents, because Danny Fingeroth probably hasn't made up his mind what they are. From what reading, I believe it is I wish I remembered where I got this, but one of the writers said that they had a hard time writing these stories that involved the parents because Fingeroth hadn't made up his mind whether they were real or not.
Yeah.
So it was hard to write for him.
We have a young. Oh, it's hidden by the logo of the crawl space, but we have a young Normie peeking at Peter and Mary Jane over there.
Oh yeah, Normie. Anytime we see Normie, he's full of glares and weird looks. You know. So back in Ravencroft, where Carnage is killing everyone and spending the entire page monologuing, which I am sure a crazed serial killer would be doing, you know, rather than focusing on the attention on focusing on the task at hand. All right, and then he hears someone cheering him on. And it turns out, you know, he rips the door to the containment cell, finds out that it's a whiny, high-pitched, loudmouth woman and supervillain. Shriek.
That's his girlfriend.
Well, but not yet. They're working.
I know, but they will have dated for 30 years. They're still a thing after this.
Oh, really?
I think so.
So you know, and so Shriek begins to engage in witty banter with Carnage, which goes on for. Let's see. Well, Shriek. Oh, what McNulty was making an observation.
Oh, hold on. He goes. Yeah. Hornacek, Shriek is more like the Harley Quinn for Carnage. After all these years, I only now realized the parallel. And Batman the Animated Series aired around the same time, too. Shriek is Harley Quinn's Marvel's equivalent of Harley Quinn? I never thought of that, McNulty. That's pretty observant. If Carnage is the Joker.
Shriek had appeared before, I thought, but that makes sense. I mean, that she would be brought in like this, and but then again, McNulty, are you accusing Marvel of displaying an appalling lack of originality?
Yes, he is.
You know.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, Shriek decides to engage in witty banter with Carnage by saying such things as, "Cut me free. I can't wait to join you on the slaughter circuit."
Oh, yeah.
The ha. And there's going to be all kinds of little ha-has and witticisms and, oh, aren't these vicious murdering people just so funny? It actually kind of obscures the fact that they're vicious murdering people so we can sell these comic books to children. All right. So we go to Peter and MJ where MJ lights up because, you know, that was a thing back then where Mary Jane was lighting up more than George before George started vaping, of course. Now, Peter, of course, doesn't like the fact that Mary Jane smokes, you know, other than it's like kissing an ashtray.
You ever kiss a girl that smokes? It's not good.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
But Mary Jane smokes, and Peter says that, boy, I just attended one memorial service. I don't want to attend another. And Mary Jane comes back with the crushing comeback that says, Harry might be alive if he had taken up smoking instead of being the Green Goblin.
Oh, if I can find that panel.
Okay. Sure, whatever you say, Mary Jane.
Well, I can't find it. Maybe it's there. I don't know. Anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
Actually, it was just prior to that where you were, because then Mary Jane says, Peter, we just need a break. Why don't we just, like, you know, go home, chill out, hide from everybody, you know? Yeah, don't confuse Harry might be alive yet, taking up smoking instead of being the Green Goblin.
Right.
Sorry, Mary Jane. I have a feeling that being the Green Goblin was a hell of a lot more fun than inhaling a cancer stick. I mean, I'm sorry. Smoking, being the Green Goblin. I'm sorry. Being the Green Goblin is going to win every time. Right.
Meanwhile, our villains are swinging. Look at that.
Well, anyway, but anyway, Peter says he agrees that he'll try to stop being Spider-Man for a week, which you know how that's going to go. All right. So now we go back to Carnage and Shriek, who are gliding through the city, where Carnage sings, "He floats through the air with the greatest of ease, the daring young man in his most sexy squeeze."
Oh my God.
Ha ha. Ha ha. Funny. All right. Well, they tell each other their boring ass origin stories. And then all of a sudden they spot the Spider-Man doppelganger. All right.
Oh, who would that be?
An evil, near mindless duplicate of Spider-Man, along with other evil duplicates of superheroes created by Magus during the battle known as the
Infinity Crusade.
Infinity War.
Oh, Infinity War. My bad.
Which is nothing like what you saw in the movies. And the reason I got, it doesn't say Infinity War there, but when I went and looked up the doppelganger, that's what it said, that he'd been created during Infinity War. So
the McNultys kissed a girl who smokes. It's that bad for obvious reasons. Matt says, I'm shocked Mary Jane said that. I thought JR was making it up again. Yeah.
What? Okay, read JR, his spider history as it unfolded without bias. I think you need to go back to Remedial 101 or something, because I always present spider history pure, unfiltered, unbiased, and nothing but the truth.
If George was here, he would go, bah! Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, so anyway, so we meet the spider doppelganger. Carnage is going to kill the spider doppelganger, but Shriek hits Carnage with a sonic blast, which obviously sonic blast gets symbiote's attention, and that's one of Shriek's superpowers. She thinks the doppelganger is cute and wants to keep him. So Carnage agrees. After all, they can keep each other company while he attends to some personal business.
She calls him Honey Bun.
Well, of course.
Yeah. What's up, Honey Bun? Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take Peter long to break his promise to Mary Jane, because as he's picking up Chinese food, he overhears on the radio about the Ravencroft massacre. So he changes to Spider-Man and runs into Shriek and the doppelganger. Okay, now, next page. Mary Jane is so shocked, and I'm actually kind of curious how this shows up on Marvel Unlimited if it's been color corrected. But Mary Jane is so shocked to hear about back one. Go back another panel.
Am I going back a panel?
Yeah.
Oh,
there we go.
Mary my Jane, gosh, she's not even a redhead.
She is so shocked that
she's been smoking so long and so shocked that it turned her hair orange.
Blonde.
Oh, that's blonde? Okay.
I don't, well, whatever, but it's like, wow. I mean, again, editors.
Mary Jane's a redhead. This just did.
But this isn't the only time it happens. But again,
one of the says, I've heard of people's hair turning white during a fight, but this is ridiculous.
One of the most famous
blonde Mary Jane, blasphemy. Yeah.
One of the most famous redheads in comics.
Is a blonde.
And you forget to color her hair red. But
so I forgot. I never even realized that. Oh man, Lord. Man, she's just so upset. She's back to redhead, just smoking a cig now.
Yeah.
So McNulty, holy crap! MJ's cigarettes turned her into Gwen.
So after 7 pages, so Mary Jane, she's so upset she lights up another cigarette. Or I should use what the English term for cigarettes are, but Brad.
No, you shouldn't. You're sure. You're good. You're good.
But Brad won't let me. After 7 pages of fighting Shriek and the doppelganger, because Peter changes to Spider-Man, fight 7 pages. The doppelganger gives him a nasty kick in the ribs, which causes him to lose consciousness.
He's out. Yeah.
We go to the offices of the Daily Bugle, where JJJ is convinced that Spider-Man has a vendetta against the Osborn family.
Duh.
I wonder why, Jonah. Anyway, that he had a hand in Harry's death, and that, Chi-Town was around for the previous month, but he wasn't around to see blonde Mary Jane. Nope. But his heart probably couldn't take it. So anyway, Jameson thinks that Spider-Man had a hand in Harry's death as well as Norman's murder. Ooh. Because as we all know, Norman certainly didn't have that coming. But then Kate Cushing barges in to let Jonah know that Cletus Cassidy is on the loose. And since Cletus has come after Jonah before, well, JJJ doesn't react too well to this news and is ready to beat a path out of town, only to find Carnage in his office waiting for him.
Yeah,
many villains.
One
down, 13 to go.
13 more chapters. So many villains have broken into Jameson's office. It's over the years. It's hysterical. So many villains. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm curious. Marvel Unlimited ends there. Does the actual issue have more behind it, or is that
Oh, it
just all?
does. It
Oh, what do we
does.
got?
Marvel, first of all, we have two backup stories. The first one is one where Peter imagines himself. He wakes up and he's a teenager again, and he's Uncle Ben's alive, but he has all his memories of being Spider-Man. And he's beginning to wonder, oh, was my life as Spider-Man all a dream? But it turns out it's a hallucination because Spider-Man is buried under a bunch of rubble from the fight with the Scorpion. So that's it. The second story brings us back to someone was asking about Cardiac. Well, the second story is a solo story featuring Cardiac.
Here, hold that up. Let's see it. What we got?
The foe of managed healthcare.
Yeah, there's your Cardiac book.
Let's see here.
And how much was the cover price? $2.95, I think, back in the 90s.
Oh, Brad.
What is it?
Oh, no.
How much?
Well, yeah, I get too much glare here. $3.95.
$3.95. Still cheaper than one issue today. Yeah.
But and you had you had glossy paper.
Yeah, they did.
But yes, there he is. Cardiac, the foe of managed healthcare.
Is that Bagley art?
Yeah, let's see here. Yes, indeed it is. Terry Cavanaugh, writer.
Yeah, Hornacek is just asking, didn't Terry Cavanaugh write that? He did.
He did. Yes, he did. Marvel Cardiac was another anti-hero that Marvel was trying to make happen. But we can't leave Ultimate Spider-Man Unlimited #1 without going to one of the ads.
Oh, I want to see it.
It's not a Hostess Twinkie ad, boys and girls. It is.
I bet you I know what it is.
Zit Fighters.
Zit Fighters.
Zit Fighters from outer space. All right.
Oh,
because we're picking up an eruption on Earth. Major Stark, who's got a patch and looks an awful lot like Nick Fury, but he's Major Stark. All right.
Fighting Zits. Planetary
records indicate it's Mount Fuji. Oh, no, that's not Mount Fuji. It's a Zit. Looks like this guy didn't use Stridex. The medicated pads to help prevent pimples. So
you say, pimples. Okay, I heard something else.
Load the Stridex pads. They're medicated to treat zits this huge and help.
By the way, along with
target that humongous zit. I'm sorry.
By the way, is there an ad in there for the video game? Is there an ad for the video game in there at all?
I don't think so. I thought the video game came considerably
the video
later.
game, it came out like 94 or something.
I think it's late. Really, there's as I'm whipping through here, there's actually no ads in. Oh, I'm sorry, there are, but not many actually.
Yeah.
There's a nothing will prepare you for the megaverse of rifts. That's some kind of
what's that?
Video game role-playing games.
Okay.
Never got into that stuff.
All right. Hornacek says, I can't imagine why George wouldn't want to stay up for this. Well, Hornacek.
George, I thought George was stronger.
Yeah.
I just kind of like when Khan told Marla McGivers during Space Seed when he was going to suffocate Captain Kirk, and she didn't want to watch it, and she said, he said, I hope you'd be stronger. I just hope, but he.
So, Maximum Carnage goes for 3 months. We are in the second chapter of 14 total. We're going to web because that came out in the very beginning of the month, if I remember correctly. Alex Savick on art, one of my favorites. Terry Cavanaugh, not one of my favorite writers, starts this chapter.
Now, and here's the thing. Of course, we're not going to quite maximum. All of us love dumb, stupid superhero fights. We do. We do. That's just the nature of the beast. But parts of this story, I think, it gets out of hand. And I again, you just you can't believe that, not just the fact that it's bad quality, but just it's a very dishonest. here's another thing. We can all appreciate bad stories. We all love bad movies,
like Hypno Hustler, and
yeah, but it's hard to appreciate a dishonest, disingenuous story. And as this goes on, we find out that it is a very dishonest story, very dishonest storytelling. But anyway, so this is written by our dear friend and the man who came up with the idea for the Clone Saga, Terry Cavanaugh.
Yeah.
All right. The story begins with Spider-Man slowly reviving after his battle with Shriek and Doppelganger the prior issue. But he's about to be set upon by a murderous gang of punks until, dun, dun, dun,
look at that.
Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah. Look at Savick delivering that. That looks beautiful. Good job, Alex Savick.
Cloak and Dagger, who often guest star in Spider-Man because they can't support either their own comic book nor television series, no matter how often Marvel has tried to make them happen over the course of the last 3 decades. They are supporting characters, and they will stay supporting characters.
They even had their own TV show, man.
Which didn't last.
I couldn't get past the first episode.
Well, again, Cloak and Dagger is an interest. I mean, I should say they're when they debuted, they were an interesting concept.
Yeah, they were by Bill Mantlo. Yep.
Yeah. The problem is but they're not major characters. Yeah. And they can't support a series, and they
couldn't even support half a comic book when they were in Strange Tales the reboot.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like you don't push them past their limitations. So anyway, but so we go to Cloak and Dagger come to Spider-Man's rescue, and we go to the Soho loft, and get ready, Brad, to show how frightened Mary Jane is.
No, not again.
All right,
not again.
In the Soho loft where Peter and Mary Jane live, which is upstairs from Liz Allen, of course, the widow Liz Allen. Mary Jane, scared blonde once again.
No, Mary Jane's a blonde again. Oh,
I mean, once in a small corner panel, tucked. All right. No, this is at the very top of the page, and it's a full third of the page.
Why?
All right.
And they haven't corrected this mistake in 30 years. In the trade, I wonder if she's a redhead or Mary Jane's still a blonde. Oh, my gosh.
So anyway,
Mary
Jane is scared once again. Now, she's watching TV where it says the slaughter at Ravencroft claimed 87 lives. All right. Now, this is your first hint, boys and girls, that something's just very wrong. Okay. Right. But 87 lives. Remember that. All right.
87 lives.
Yeah. Well, the number's not so important. It's just as we start to build on it later on. Carnage leaves the Daily Bugle. Apparently, he just wanted to leave a message.
By the way, this whole page, she's blonde.
Well, that's Liz Allen now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought that was Mary Jane. Okay.
No,
there's Mary Jane.
So Liz, Harry's dead. Normie's looking creepy and crazy again. And probably Normie's thinking, oh boy, I hope to wear that red Carnage suit one of these days.
Yeah.
So Carnage leaves the Daily Bugle. And because really he just wanted to leave a message. He just wanted Jonah to tell a message that he's looking for Venom and Spider-Man. All right. Well, Spider-Man is currently being administered to by Cloak and Dagger, who are bandaging up his ribs because those ribs are going to be a recurring trope for Spider-Man to keep from winning fights and to continually whine. Oh, my ribs. You're going to hear a lot about that, and it's not barbecue. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Doppelganger comes back wanting to settle the score with Spider-Man. Shriek comes with him, but as the battle is joined, Carnage comes back, and on the 8th page of the fight lasts 8 pages. Okay.
Oh my.
Shriek zaps Cloak and appears to kill her.
Shriek zaps Cloak. Okay, let me see.
Yep. Yeah, this is. I mean, you gotta skip forward in the story because it's like we have 8 pages. I mean, this is a standard size issue. Okay, we have 8 pages.
Oh, she zaps Dagger.
I'm sorry, did I say she zapped Cloak?
Yeah, there's daggers.
That's
Dagger. Yeah,
zaps Dagger. All right. Well, Cloak kind of loses his mind over this, but Carnage and Shriek have a little disagreement over who gets to kill Spider-Man, and the whole terrible trio flee the scene while another mysterious figure is watching them.
Oh, is it Kane?
No. You would think so, but no. Kane's time is not yet.
Oh, I see who it is.
Mysterious figure watching. It's not too hard to figure out who it is, though. If he's followed the doppelganger because he is apparently host to 2 dormant death spawn wraiths that only he can see. Whatever.
Carnage, right?
Well,
I mean Venom. Venom.
Yeah, that's Venom, but back up a little bit.
Okay. Who's watching who?
Keep backing up.
Oh, there you go.
The dark.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
the Demogoblin.
Yeah, it's not too hard to figure out who that is.
Yeah.
We'll see him soon. But anyway, the last page of the issue.
Yeah.
All right. Whisk us all the way to San Francisco, California. San Francisco, California, otherwise clean city, more or less. With whatever. Where Venom, the lethal protector, dispatches a couple of punks who are trying to rob a lady at the ATM, and he just so happens to catch the news of Carnage's rampage on TV, and of course he knows where he has to go now.
He has to go to Amazing Spider-Man number 378 to get in the fight.
2 down, 12 to go.
Oh, collect them all,
already see
kids.
The pattern. Part 1, big fight. Part 2, new superhero intro, Cloak and Dagger, another big fight. And now on to issue 3 with Venom.
Venom. So they saved the Venom because he's hot. He's been hot since '88, and they're going to introduce him in or have the fight, big Carnage Venom fight, and Amazing Spider-Man.
Actually, it happens off panel for some reason.
Oh, come on.
But we'll have some later. This is only part 3 of 14.
Look at Spider-Man getting pushed off the cover of his own book with these two fighting.
Oh, wait until later, which we won't deal with this month, where Spider-Man isn't even a factor on the. I mean, it's. I'm going to save it for later because it's so stupid. It's hard to believe how stupid it is. But
real quick, we're going to do some quick comments. MJ was the real Gwen clone all along, or Liz Allen's long lost twin sister. The way this happened in the video game was confusing.
What, MJ blonde?
I don't know. Hornacek says, boy, these fights seem really padded out to fill these issues, and we're only on part 2. Hornacek, you're onto something.
Matt Hornacek, you can't get anything by him because he's smart.
McNulty says, oh boy, Demogoblin, the bottom of the barrel goblin knockoffs, and not just because he's a demon from hell. You like Demogoblin, JR? You never talk about him. You never write.
Well, not really. I mean, because it was like, but to be honest, I liked him better than Jason Macendale with the demon, to be honest.
Yeah. Matt says, I wonder if Mary Jane's blonde theme came from her needing lighting in a story of bloody killing of living suits. Matt says, looks like Carnage killed Spider-Man instead of Shriek killing Dagger the way in the game cutscene played out in the video game. Off panel, this wasn't a Howard Mackie book, says Matt. Mike says, I actually have Maximum Carnage Part 3. Yes, you may weep now. All right, let's get to it. Part 3.
Well, wait a minute, Mignotti. You actually have Part 3? Does that mean you don't have Parts 1, 2, and 4 through 14? Oh,
he may have just pulled it out of his long box or something.
Oh, anyway. I see.
Yep.
All right. Amazing Spider-Man number 378. Written by David Michelini, penciled by Mark Bagley. The issue begins with Eddie Brock arriving at LaGuardia Airport in New York City, thinking, boy, this airport is pretty scuzzy. I can't believe a major metropolitan city has such a scuzzy airport. You know, maybe in the year 2020 or 2021, they'll actually start fixing it. So anyway,
he just venoms out in the airport right there. You die.
Current reference because I've flown LaGuardia before, and finally in 2019 they were actually fixing it and updating it, and they were going to build a subway line to Midtown. Long overdue. Of course, COVID happened, so I don't know if they're doing it now anyway. Okay. Anyway, so Eddie Brock Venom's out.
Yeah.
All right. And as you recall, in Amazing Spider-Man number 375, he and Spider-Man reached an agreement of sorts to leave each other alone. But nope. This issue, he is after the monster that he himself helped create and now must destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Spider-Man in Cloak, who is grieving the apparent loss of Dagger. And of course, Spider-Man has to remind us how his cracked ribs hurt every time he talks. We got to remind you of audience of those cracked ribs.
Those ribs.
So Cloak bails out to hunt Shriek, who is resuming the argument with Carnage over who gets to kill Spider-Man, a privilege that Carnage claims is exclusively his.
Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man staggers home to Mary Jane, who, of course, is rather upset that he didn't seem to try very hard to keep his promise to avoid being Spider-Man for a while. And she gets even madder because Peter doesn't have the good sense to rest for the night to let his spider powers heal him. Mm-hmm. Of course, because that would mitigate the trope of the wounded Spider-Man. Peter goes, oh, no, I have to go back out tonight, even though I'm in absolutely no shape to fight. All right. Interspersed in all this, of course, is the bickering between the members of the Carnage family, who agree to settle their differences and go on a killing spree in Central Park and engage in such witty banter as Shriek after Carnage kills a couple in a car. Oh, yeah, she says, that's real fair after all the griping you did about how I was hogging kills. What can I say, darling? You're right. Would you settle for corpse disposal instead? And Shriek blows up the car with a dead couple in it. Okay. Man. Like Mr. Mackey. Okay. Isn't that funny, boys and girls? All right. So Spider-Man and this the doppelganger kills this cop. So okay, we already had 87 dead at Ravencroft, and we know they didn't stop there. Now they're in Central Park. Okay, and this is going to get more absurd over time, but the body count is piling up. And as we find out, for at least the first third of the story, no one gives a rat's ass. No one cares.
87 dead, no F's given. Okay.
Nobody cares. Spider-Man goes back out on patrol when all of a sudden Demo Goblin flies by.
Boom.
And of course, was the mysterious figure from the prior issue. All right. So he throws a black pumpkin bomb at Spider-Man. Never seen one of those. And boy, I'm got to resist. I got to really hold my tongue to make any kind of comments there. But anyway, it's no ordinary bomb, of course, because it's one that gives you a taste of what all sinners must face.
Oh, Hornacek is asking you to keep a tally of how many people Carnage kills in the storyline. So what are we, 87 and then the two people?
It's not possible. Yeah, well, 88, but it's not possible because later we'll find out that there's just more and more and more, but there's not. Anyway, but I'll make a point of it later. Anyway, so this black bomb, pumpkin bomb, makes a sinner face the despair and unending hopelessness of eternal torment. Well, Venom just happens to swing by a cab and hears of Carnage wreaking havoc in Central Park, while a Catholic priest waves his cross at Demo Goblin. And I'll let Brad find. There we go. That's going to stop him. Wow.
I don't know. Will it stop him? Nope. That's not going to do it.
But however, this priest fills Spider-Man with the power of Jesus. And with the power of Jesus, Spider-Man breaks out of his funk and he lays a whooping on the Demo Goblin. Benny Hinn couldn't have done it any better. All right. But then the goblin hurls a regular pumpkin bomb, which, although Spidey is able to spirit him and the Catholic priest away just in time, the explosion, did my cracked ribs a lot of good. Oh, I can't let Demo Goblin know I'm hurt so bad.
No.
But Demo fortunately doesn't care. He just flies away.
Yeah.
All right. So Venom confronts Carnage in Central Park. Okay. Where, as the news talks about the massacre in Central Park, resulting in bodies lining walkways like human litter. Okay. So it doesn't say how much, but it says that bodies are lining the walkways like human litter.
Okay.
Yeah, the screams have stopped. Okay. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it says the body's lined like human litter. That's on the next page. But anyway, the screams have stopped. So Venom pops up and we don't see the fight.
Oh,
we don't see it.
There's no
he
fight.
Shows up, the Carnage family attacks, and we don't see it. But then we learn Mary Jane, and I don't know why Peter's, and I'm not even going to comment on the slippers Peter's wearing.
Oh, let me see here. What? Look, he got those from Razorback or something. What? He hops the couch. Mary Jane's half naked in the hallway.
Yeah, of course.
What in the world
sure
is
enough,
he wearing?
And Eddie Brock has staggered in, having the absolute crap beat out of him. Peter is, okay, I'm getting low. Yeah. MJ thinks it says there's a knock at the door. MJ thinks it's Liz, but it turns out to be gassed, but bloodied and beaten Venom. 3 down, 11 to go.
I forgot about the bear slippers on Peter. Those were probably popular in the early 90s. Everybody had those slippers. I had some Garfield ones. I remember those.
I can let me get this image here. How old were you? About 21?
I was 18 in 1993. There you go.
Ooh. Anyway, so remember, we heard about the massacre at Ravencroft, resulting in 87 deaths. The massacre in Central Park has resulted in bodies lining the walkways like litter.
Yeah, you can't count that many, Hornacek.
No. Not to count how many murders the Carnage family probably committed along the way.
Yeah.
But no one in New York cares except Spider-Man and Venom. No word about the police, the National Guard, the Army, or other superheroes. No. Nobody cares. All right. So the score is issue number 1, big fight. Issue number 2, new superhero intro, another big fight. Part 3, new supervillain intro, modest fight, only 4 pages this time. But now on to page 4.
Chapter 4, Tom Lyle, rest in peace. Beautiful looking art. Love that. You got Demogoblin, Carnage, Shriek. You got Black Cat now on the cover, Venom and Spider-Man and Demogoblin.
Yep.
I mean, what's this guy called?
Just a doppelganger.
Doppelganger. That's right. Okay. Got it. Okay. Who's writing this one?
I don't know.
David Michelinie. Tom Lyle on pencils. There we go. Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
Before we start, Matthew Kyle says, I'd argue the storyline has one of the most neutered portrayals of Peter. He does nothing but get hurt and complain about how Venom and Black Cat want to handle the situation. He's annoying in his own book, and he's got 5 of them every month.
Yeah, and it only gets worse, and that's why.
Yeah,
and really, that's one reason why this story is disgusting. It's really aggravating.
Really,
the whole idea is your hero is supposed to look like a hero. He's fallible. He makes mistakes, and sometimes he doesn't always come off looking his best. But he is supposed to be a hero, but that's not what we get, particularly in the early issues here.
Yeah.
So
all right. So where does Carnage bust into? Right. Where is he here?
Actually, we're at some kind of warehouse that stores stage props for rock shows. See, because apparently Shriek was a former Lord, I can't remember now. What do they call the chicks who hang around rockers? Groupies. Thank you.
Yeah.
Groupies. Yeah, she was a former rock groupie. So she says, she actually has led Carnage there, and he says, "You done good, babe. I'm always buzzed on heavy metal. It's all about chaos, and chaos is the future." Now, of course, chaos is the name that Michelinie originally wanted to give Carnage.
Right, I remember that.
But it was apparently taken. And so Carnage says, laws are just words. You can do anything you want as long as you have the guts to make it happen. A little lesson we're going to teach the world together. And then there's a heartwarming portrait of the Carnage family. We're going to teach the world together.
There you go. I can just see Sunshine Day. We're going to kill the world. Sunshine Day. Like the Brady Bunch. Yeah. But she starts smelling something.
I honestly don't know if like the writers are just kind of, or the artists and writers just kind of trolling fans as we're going. I mean, I wonder if they realize the absurdity of what they're writing, and some of the stuff that I'm blaming, that I'm actually assuming is just like malice or incompetent, or is really them being as disgusted with it as we are, and them actually kind of making it look worse all the time.
I don't know. They're still cashing the check on this book, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. But sometimes I wonder if they're in on the joke too, and they just realize, man, I mean, I hate this stuff, but hey, I'm being paid. But then
this is like a Spider-Man Michael Bay story, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of explosions, a lot of fights, no real plot.
Well, even then, though, that can be entertaining. So,
now, JR, you have to admit, this is entertaining to a large majority of Spider fans. Myself in 1993, I would include that. This is still
that's not really a high threshold, Brad. Oh, I liked it.
How old were you in 1993? You were not the audience for this. I was 18. I ate this up with a biscuit.
Now, wait a minute. Who are you now? Brie Larson. It's not made for you.
Well, it wasn't made for. How old were you in 93?
How old was I in 90? Brad, in 93, I was only 30 years old.
Definitely not the audience for this.
Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't even a father then.
See, Toby Z's with me. He says, I loved it when it came out, but it hasn't aged well. Yeah, exactly. Toby Z, I agree.
Again, here's the thing. It's not because it's a dumb, stupid fight that it's a problem.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It's not because it's a dumb, stupid fight. It's a problem.
Oh, Josh, thank you for the super chat. Maximum Carnage versus Planet of the Symbiotes versus Venom Incorporated. What was the worst, JR?
Well, I have not read Planet of the Symbiotes in a long time.
That's
maybe one of these days we'll have to do that one.
Yeah.
I probably better give us a year off from that one. Venom Incorporated, I don't think I've ever read. So
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. It was amazing. It was during Slot.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Well, help me, Josh. I thought that was a Slot story. Isn't that where they introduced? Oh Lord, what's the white-looking Flash Thompson?
Anti-Venom.
Anti-Venom. Yeah, I think that's what Venom Incorporated was. I swear that was during Amazing.
I genuinely don't. I
Planet of the Symbiotes, Josh. That's my vote, man. I think Maximum Carnage is kind of like Amazing Friends and Todd McFarlane art. I look back on it and I remember such a good time I had during the summer of '93. I graduated high school and I got a big Spider-Man crossover going on in my books. I was loving it. But
yeah, I think Planet of the Symbiotes began the symbiote should never have had really a backstory, and really there shouldn't have been any more than one. But that was a losing battle anyway, as King in Black is now showing. Well, I guess, but people like King in Black. So,
yeah. Mary, welcome to the show. Slot so bad, JR forgot he read it.
I tell you, there's a
lot sister. Yeah,
I tell you, there's a lot of bad Slot.
Real quick, Matthew says, I was born when this story came out. Read it as a kid, never liked it. I mean, I'm a Clone Saga apologist, but we can't all be perfect. Yeah, no doubt, Matthew. Josh says, yes, Venom Incorporated a Slot story where Spider-Man, Black Cat, Eddie Brock, and Flash Thompson all team up to fight Lee Price. Oh, the one that had the Venom suit. Yes, in his ongoing book, Lee Price. I remember that.
Wasn't he the guy who played Ronan the Accuser?
Ronan the Accuser. No, I don't. No, that you're thinking of an actor. You got me. Venom Inc. was an ASM issue 790 to something. Yes. Okay. All right. So back at the happy.
To be honest, a lot of those Slot brand all ran together.
I would agree. But you know what? Shriek smells something, JR. What could it be?
Does. She smells rotten eggs. Oh, I mean sulfur.
Sulfur and goblins.
I guess when you're from hell, that's what you smell like is rotten eggs.
That's what Nightcrawler smells like when he bamfs.
When he bamfs?
Yeah,
but Nightcrawler's kind of cute, I suppose. All right, so Shriek smells sulfur and in flies Demogoblin. Well, Mary Jane is none too happy about Venom showing up on their doorstep.
Wait a minute. Hold it. Mary Jane was in a bathrobe and underwear. She got dressed
because she's going to go out. She's going to go out, Brad. You just got to wait.
No, he just fell in the door and she wardrobe changed.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's going to go out. She's disgusted because not only is she disgusted, she's repulsed by the fact that Brock came, but repulsed by that mullet. I mean, it's like, You know, not only is this guy a super villain, but he's got a super bad mullet.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm getting the hell out of here. Yeah.
Okay. So she's really repulsed by Eddie's mullet. So she storms out of the apartment, but before she gets out, she runs into Liz, who has to leave to go to sign papers about Harry's estate. Okay. She's going to take her son with her. All right. Okay. Yeah. Because after all, there are hundreds of people now being slaughtered in a rampage that started in Westchester County. Now, Westchester County is the home of the X-Men because Ravencroft is in Westchester County. So obviously the X-Men do not care about mass murder.
I guess,
you know, beginning in their own backyard. They obviously do not care. Okay. So this rampage started in Westchester County. Which is north of the Bronx. It moved through the Bronx. It's now in Central Park, moving its way down Midtown Manhattan. It's eventually going to get to Soho, probably. Liz doesn't care. Liz is going to go out.
We got papers to sign, JR.
We got papers to sign. Yeah. You know, I mean, who cares what's coming? You know, I mean, Hurricane Sandy, you know, causes of widespread evacuations and stuff, but mass murder? No, everybody go out, do your own business, do your own thing.
Tuesday. Hey, boy, let's go get some food while we're out signing these papers about your dead dad who'll come back in 30 years. Oh, my God.
Liz's hair looks like Eddie's mullet. Oh, I'll be darned. All right. So, anyway, I mean, and of course, then again, Central Park, if you know, Central Park is bordered by the Upper East and Upper West Side of New York. Mm-hmm. So, it's gone through some very rich places, and nobody cares. I mean, it's like, you know. So anyway, back at the Parker Loft in Soho, where Peter is asking Eddie how he wound up with that mullet. You know.
Look at those poor ribs. Look at those poor ribs on Peter.
Yeah, poor rib. I don't know. I can't take my eyes off the mullet, to be honest. You know, Eddie tells Peter that he needs to rest, heal his wounds, comb his mullet, and then he and Spider-Man will go looking for Carnage.
Real quick. It's a tender moment between Peter and Eddie. Look at this. He covers him up with a blanket. Like, that's a true superhero, covering up the mullet man.
I don't think Peter covers him up. I think Eddie just steals the blanket. I think he's a blanket hog.
Okay, the blanket is up here.
Yeah, and Eddie
just grabs it. You don't think Peter, being a nice guy, he's like, you know, we fought a few times. Let me cover you up, man.
No. I think Eddie
all right then.
Eddie just takes it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, but anyway, so, you know, Peter's saying, we go after Carnage together, you and me. I mean, it's Peter's appalled by any suggestion he should team up with Venom. Well, Peter he's mad now. I mean, he's offended. So he needs to talk to somebody, and Mary Jane stormed out mad at him. So who else can he talk to understand his problem?
Oh, all right. Who's this?
Well, okay.
Well, hello, Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia has just woken up from a sound sleep, totally uninterrupted by any warning sirens, police sirens, fire engine sirens, ambulance sirens, or any of the type concerning emergency band of killers is making its way down Midtown Manhattan.
Well,
Felicia sleeps through it all.
You know what? No, you know what she was doing? She was taking a cat nap. Come on, chat. Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. Do not. Look at that. Look at that carved cat on Felicia's. Felicia has a cat headboard. So look at that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. This is too
funny. We drop in on Felicia. Like I said, she slept through all of this. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so Spider-Man slinks through the window, and he and Felicia sit down for a quiet cup of coffee. All right. Okay. Well, and then Felicia says, well, we have to stop Venom and Carnage. Real
quick. Look at her memo board in her kitchen.
And remember, Felicia was mad during the slot run because Spider-Man revealed her secret identity because nobody knew she was a black cat. Nobody knew Felicia's a black cat. No, she just telegraphs it all over the place.
Oh, it's all over. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys appreciate my punnage. Yeah.
No, they didn't say they appreciated it, Brad.
They're LOLing.
I think it's an uncomfortable LOL. You know, I think
You're
it's just
an uncomfortable LOL.
a very uncomfortable LOL. So, you know, it's kind of funny. Peter has to. Peter left the dude who scared the hell out of his wife on her couch and left.
Hopefully she doesn't just come back while he's out visiting his ex. Wouldn't that go? It wouldn't go well with my girl.
I don't think it would go well.
Yeah, Venom tortured Mary Jane in ASM 300. Dude, can you just sleep? Just scared the hell out of Mary Jane. Didn't torture her, but yeah, just grab a blanket.
Felicia had a run in with him, which we'll talk about later.
Right,
but it's just kind of funny how Peter, you know, let's see here. I need to talk about somebody about this whole thing with, and who will I talk about? Oh, I don't know, somebody else super powered who might understand or whatever. No, I'll talk to you. All right. Spider-Man doesn't drop in on the Avengers. He doesn't talk to the Avengers, drop in on the Fantastic Four for advice. You know, he drops in on the Black Cat. Okay. So now we go to Forest Hills, where Aunt May is having breakfast with the robot parents.
Oh, hold on. Here we go. There's the robot parents. What do robot parents like to eat for breakfast? I don't even have a joke for this. I'm trying to think in my brain what would be a good robot parent.
Lord.
Robot.
So you have a setup with no.
Oh, I got it. I know what they want to eat. Robot parents eat microchips. And cookies.
You know what? I at first I regretted George leaving, but now I realize that
I literally just came up with that joke. Thank you very much. All right, robot parent jokes.
Boys and girls, those of you on the East Coast who are now staying up past midnight and who are out, staying up at 11 or later on other, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that you stayed up so late for this. But
Toby Z says I need a timeout. Josh says, "Where are the Rotten Tomatoes when you need them?" Well, dude. Hornacek has another one. Robot parents eat nuts and bolts, the snack food. They get nuts without the bolts. Yeah. Yep. Toby Z says it's midnight in Pennsylvania. If Peter's parents were not already dead, that joke would have killed him. Thank you, Matt. Yes, Hornacek, you stayed up till 1 a.m. for microchips joke. Vinkman, a moment of silence for jokes that just died. Matt, question for JR before we proceed. Do you think it would have been better if the parents were real, or do you think them being fakes was the right move?
I addressed this once. I think it would have been
that's funny.
I think it would have been honest storytelling if they had been real.
Yeah.
But I don't think they served any real purpose. Yeah. I think what should have happened was because, and actually the Richard, the robot dad later pops, and we'll get to it later. I think it's in part 5, where he talks about being in 20 years in a Soviet prison. If you spent 20 years, I think if you spent that long a time in a Soviet prison, I think you would be damaged beyond the ability to really comfortable. I could be wrong. I mean, I've been a very fortunate person who never had to serve in the military or anything. But I think if you spent that many years in a Soviet prison, I think your ability to assimilate back into society would be almost impossible. And I think what should have happened was they would have found that out, and Peter would have gone to Nick Fury, and Nick Fury would say, "That's okay, kid. We take care of our own," and done it that way and told an honest story. Remove them, because I don't really think they served any purpose, but remove them from the story in an honest way instead of robot parents. But anyway, that's
Matt,
it was the 90s.
Has a question about Black Cat and Puma. Why didn't they pair them together? I thought they did.
They did late. They did later during the slot era, and
the slot era. That's when it was. Okay.
Yeah, and then when Spider-Man asked, "Why did you two break up?" Felicia said that Puma crossed boundaries and that she had to manscape him. So,
oh Jesus! No way he said that. That's in the book.
She said that. Yeah.
She said that. That's in the book.
Mm-hmm. She had
Oh,
to man. First of all, I mean, funny
gross.
she cut his, you know what? But here's the thing:
Jesus.
Thomas Fireheart was a lot of things, but he would not have. He wasn't that type of man. I mean, I never liked him as a character. He never would have forced himself on a woman. He wasn't that type of man.
Yeah.
You know, and so he would not have. No, it again, stupid slot.
Yeah.
Stupid slot humor. I mean, again, stuff that is not even remotely indigenous to the characters. But anyway, getting off topic here.
Meanwhile, Carnage is looking for more targets.
Well, what's funny though is that Mary Jane drops in Forest Hills, and the robot parents are asking, "Well, how's Peter doing?" And they talk a little bit about how awful it was for Liz to lose her husband at such a young age. Nobody's saying, "Wow, Mary Jane, what's going on in Midtown, huh?
Right.
What's going on in Midtown, huh? How about all those dead bodies, huh?"
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's talking about that. So I guess Queens is so far away that it's safe, right? Yeah, right. But anyway, back to the Carnage family.
Mm-hmm.
After a brief tussle with Dema Goblin, who wants to punish every sinner in the world until the world is nothing but bone and ash, Carnage says, "Well, you want to kill people? Cripes, Beelzebub. Why didn't you say so? All you got to do is join us."
Yeah.
So really, they're writing him like the Joker too, which is
welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. So basically, back to Spidey and the Black Cat as Felicia's suiting up, and Peter is whining, saying, "I know that Carnage has to be stopped, but partnering with Venom means condoning his ruthless methods, and that can't be right." And I'm like, Peter, what the hell is wrong with you? First of all, I told you we had 87 people murdered at Ravencroft, and we have bodies litter along the walkways at Central Park like cat litter. Okay, so they've murdered at least 100 to 200 people, at least. And you're worried about how mean Venom will be to them.
Yeah.
Really? He's worried about Venom being mean to them. I mean, at least Felicia has some sense in the matter and basically tells him to screw his self-righteous bullshit. You know? I mean, but I don't know if it's self-righteousness or just self-delusion.
I'm with Felicia on this. You need the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So let's go get Venom and take Carnage out.
Maybe he really is a clone because he ain't thinking right. All right. So Felicia then goes to Peter and MJ's loft where Venom has now woken up and he's, kind of getting himself in shape. And first she says, "Wow, nice mullet." But then she remembers the last time they met, Venom broke my nose once. Yep. I broke your nose. I think we ought to go back to that panel. He didn't just break your nose. He turned your face into hamburger meat.
Yeah. He beat the hell out of him.
I mean, if you don't have time we can't go back to the panel now, but if somebody can find it and pull it up, like Spider-Man 316, it was brutal. I mean, it was more than just a broken nose. So anyway,
see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, she says that she wants to help Venom put Carnage in a body bag, and Venom says, "Oh yeah," like the Kool-Aid Man. But Spider-Man says, "Okay, I'm in, but I don't want you guys to hurt anyone, okay?" All right. As the fearsome,
there you go. There's the nose right there.
Yeah, there's a little more than a broken nose there. I think there's going to be a few missing teeth.
Man,
probably
that's the last time they saw each other.
Yeah, probably a jaw that's going to need to be wired shut. And it's not good. So anyway,
here we got a super chat again from Josh.
Oh, a super chat.
Thank you, Josh. I would like Jared to rank all the goblins from best to worst. Oh God.
Oh man, I mean, it's not even. First of all, number one, Norman.
Let me guess, Harry, number two.
Well, Roderick. Harry.
Oh, you put Roderick above, Hobgoblin, yes.
Yeah, Hobgoblin. Roderick, Harry, Mackendale, Demo Goblin. Oh, wait a minute. I guess then maybe Phil Urich has to go in there somewhere in the bottom. But, first of all, there's Norman in big capital letters, and then there's everybody else. So that's pretty well how it goes.
There you go, Josh. There's your Goblin ranking.
Yep.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way.
Yes, thank you for the super chat. Right.
You can do that on YouTube. There's a little button if you'd like to donate to the Crawl Space Live. There you go. It's a little dollar sign, I think.
So you can help Brad's kids.
Yes, it's for the kids. No.
As somebody who grew up watching the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon for many years.
Oh,
Yeah, Demogoblin's just about the worst. Yeah, he had the least.
Oh, but Hornacek says, where's Bart Hamilton?
Oh, that's right.
Bart Hamilton,
Hornacek,
where do you rank him?
Hornacek. Oh, my gosh. It's like, I called him Hornacek, just like George Papard is Banachek. But, so Hornacek keeps us honest, doesn't he, Brad?
He does, man. He knows his stuff.
Man, keeps his eyes. Hamilton had potential that was completely wasted. I'd say I put him in the middle of the pack, but still above Mackendale and still above Demogoblin.
Yeah. Where's Goblin 5? Very bottom.
He doesn't even count. I mean, I don't even know what he was. He wasn't even a real goblin apparently because he couldn't fly the glider. He was just somebody who had the costume.
Didymus wants to know, would have been better for the story if Carnage was more incognito with his killing, like a real serial killer. I think so.
Well, the thing is, this story is just too much. There's too much talking. I mean, one, because the more they talk, the more silly they get. And I guess part of the problem is you have to fill up I know that it came out saying this is going to be a 14-issue thing. We're going to run this story for 3
months. We got to pad it, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the thing is, here's the thing. Killer, they're much more terrifying when they're quiet. When they sneak up on you, not when they're telling bad jokes in front of you all the time.
Before we go, we got to answer McNulty's. Where does Gabriel Stacy, the Gray Goblin, rank?
Man, I tell you, you guys
forgot a bunch of them, JR. And your goblins.
I know, but I tell you what, it's increasing. Probably one, increasing senility, and two, I'm just so pumped up with this Carnage story. And, when people are asking questions that are kind of making me tangent, and I'm just trying to, tell you, there's a lot of seeds.
A lot of talking.
Yeah, trust me. I doubt that any of the serial killers that we know in real life stood around, did a lot of talking. I don't think Jeffrey Dahmer gloated over, went into big monologues over people, or John Wayne Gacy, or, I'm sure Jack the Ripper didn't do any monologuing either.
Right. Matthew wants to know if this is the start of the symbiote oversaturation. I would agree. Once you start making Carnage, and then you did the Lethal Protector with all those symbiotes, you just kept turning them out, and each one became a little less special, I think. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when you had Venom, they had so neutered Venom, by making him the lethal protector. That was the end. And Michelini knew it. Because he wanted to write he wrote the Lethal Protector, and I think he insisted on it because he said, I know where this is going. And if I can do one little thing to try to control the direction, I'm going to try. And so he wrote Lethal Protector, but that was really the end.
Right.
And
I would agree.
And then of course this just, it perpetuated it.
Here, I'll do one more question before we got to move on to the next. Maximum Carnage is basically a 4-issue story at most that was somehow stretched out to 14 parts. Very true, Josh. I think I would agree with you. Yep.
It should have been a 1-month story. I mean, it should have been a 1-month story to kick off Ultimate or kick off Unlimited, and then run through the other 4. So you've got a 5-part story. Maybe make the 5th part a double issue, and boom, you'd have had a nice little slugfest. All right, but that's not how it worked in the 90s.
Spider-Man drops in on Black Cat and Venom before they start fighting.
Yeah, so he said, basically, I don't want you to hurt anyone. All right. So anyway, we go back to the Fearsome 4. Now counting Demogoblin.
What back here?
Basically it was like she came in and said, well, no.
Four, right here?
Yeah, they're the Fearsome 4. I call them the Fearsome 4. All right.
Okay. Got Carnage, Shriek, Demogoblin, and
Doppelganger.
Yeah, and Doppelganger down here. Okay.
All right. So anyway, after Spider-Man and Venom and Black Cat decide, they're going to team up and go out. Demogoblin is about to make their way out. The Fearsome 4, we're back to the Fearsome 4. They're about to make their way out for more bloodletting, but then Cloak shows up and announces his presence, and he's coming to avenge the death of Dagger. But of course, I mean, all these guys are too much for him. And then Spider-Man, Black Cat, and Venom make their way in, and Spider-Man says, "You remember what I said about not killing anyone?" Okay.
By the way, what's on Spider-Man's head? Oh, is this how they communicate?
I don't know. I guess he's listening to his tunes. He's listening to he's listening to the crawl space. Maybe he's listening to the crawl space because, and also the symbiotes have scared the webs off his face.
Well, in the Avengers movies, they all have earbuds so they can communicate with each other and talk. Maybe this is 1993 technology. There's a little antenna here, but I don't see one under Black Cat's ear. But look, he's got the little headset through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So, but anyway, so Spider-Man is worried about them killing anybody. Okay, right. First of all, Demogoblin and Doppelganger are not even human. They're really not even living. Yeah. I don't even know if they qualify as, well, they're not, certainly not human. And I'm not sure how alive they are. I mean, first of all, the Doppelganger has no intelligence whatsoever. He's just mindless, and Demogoblin's a demon, and then Shriek and, it would last an entire year, Magnota. You're right. And
it would be called King in Black.
So, but and Carnage and Shriek have sacrificed long ago, abandoned whatever humanity they had. So again, another one, Spider-Man's arguments now is just, like I said, half this group isn't even human, fight, boom, 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 boom. Demogoblin sets the whole place on fire, and the bad guys get away. But Venom is weakened by the fire, and he can't get out, And Spidey looks back, and he sees the Black Cat. He's going to plunge. He's going to plunge because we're going to see him in the next issue in the middle of it. Oh, and Black Cat, there she is. She's in the fire, and she's covered in rubble. The fire's closing in, and Spider-Man goes, if I let Carnage go, hundreds could die. But if I leave the Cat and Venom, they'll die. I've had to make some hard decisions in the last few hours, but how can I possibly make this one? How? Oh, I don't know. Call the Fantastic Four.
Or
call
just
the Avengers, you dumbass.
Spend another $2 and get to find out the answers in Spec 201.
4 down, 10 to go.
Oh,
all right.
My gosh.
Part 1, big fight. Part 2, new superhero intro, another big fight. Part 3, new villain, small fight. Part 4, new hero intro, Venom and Black Cat, big fight. All right, and now we are on to part 5, boys.
We are
in
the last episode of this month.
Oh, this month.
I mean, this last issue of this month.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I couldn't take any more, boys and girls. Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
You can't only do 5 issues a month. Before we get to Spec 201, Josh says, did anyone ever read the Batman Spider-Man crossover with Carnage and Joker team up? I thought it was pretty good. We covered that on a Friday Night Fight, Josh. Go back into our archives. You can see that, listen to that episode and see it. There you go. Hornacek even talked about it. Spider history. It was Friday Night Fights, if I remember correctly. Yep. Venkman says, welcome, Venkman. I remember picking up Spider-Man 35 off the spinner rack when I was 8 because I didn't fully understand the concept of a crossover. I read 36 to see the next part and was confused. Yeah, Venkman, I could see if this was one of your first comics that I got to read 14 chapters and spend X amount of money. That would be confusing. What's the record for the longest Spider history episode? Is this one going to break it? No, we're at an hour 17.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not going to get anywhere near it.
No, I can't remember what the longest episode is.
I don't either. But Brad, because Brad didn't used to hold us to time limits so ruthlessly as he does now.
I do.
So,
yeah, I don't remember what the longest episode was. But if you splice this month, May, June, and July, this could be the longest episode if you put them all together and you listen to 3 hours of Maximum Carnage. So
yeah, you may wind up having to re-release that as a special edition. So that we can exploit Maximum Carnage just as much as Marvel has.
I'll republish it in trades every 10 years. I agree, Matthew. At least the art in this story is pretty solid. Bagley, Lyle, Sal, Savick, you can't go wrong. The art and Ron Lim. The art is not the problem in this book. It's 5, 6, 7 writers, isn't it?
At least 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. I and maybe this is just me, but one reason I hated these crossovers was because of the constant change in the artist, obviously.
Yes.
Because it is. I mean, because usually, an artist will set a particular mood, and then a new artist will have an entirely different style, and the mood will entirely change. It's very jarring, actually.
Yeah.
With
Craven's Last Hunt, you had Mike Zeck on all of it, so it looked consistent, and it would look consistent in the trade. Which is why that trade's been so successful. All right, last chapter. Our pal Sal got rung into this. Oh my gosh, look at that beautiful art right there.
So here's the thing. Spider-Man doesn't know whether or not to go after Carnage or whether to save Venom or save the Black Cat. But what is he doing? Is he doing anything at all? No. He's just hanging upside down going, what do I do? What do I do?
What should I do?
He's got his thumb up his butt.
I'd go save Felicia first, yeah.
And then, basically Venom says, well, get out of here, you wimp, go after Carnage, Yeah. So basically what happens is Venom does wind up crawling out and Spider-Man gets a Black Cat out. But then they start fighting amongst each other. No. Because Venom doesn't believe Spider-Man should have saved the cat. Then the cat yells at Venom, Venom says you shouldn't have saved the cat, and so he's raring to kick the crap out of Spider-Man. And then the Black Cat says, well, you loudmouth hypocrite, you tell Spider-Man he wasted time for saving me, and there you are wasting time threatening to kick his butt, And then Venom says, well, you're right.
Mary has a question for us, by the way. She wants to know, of all the artists, who do you think was the best? I'd rank Bagley and Sal up there, and Alex. I think that's an even, all three tied, honestly.
I'd have to say Bagley.
Bagley's the best, yeah. I have a soft spot in my heart for Alex Savick and Sal Buscema, personally. But all right, let's keep going. Sorry.
So anyway, then Black Cat decides to get on to yell at Spider-Man because I'm no damsel in distress. I would have done just fine, even though I was laying there under rubble, getting ready to burn to death. Whatever. Mm-hmm.
And Venom,
Venom and the cat gear up to go back after the bad guys, and Spider-Man says, "I'm not going with you. I can't be part of this anymore. Allies with Venom, playing by his bloodthirsty rules. I'm going to stop Carnage, but I'm going to do it my way. Wah, wah, wah."
Yeah.
Well, neither Venom nor the cat can put up with this bleeding anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
So they leave him. They leave him, and poor Spider-Man's stuck holding his ribs.
So Venom says, doing it you right. Yeah, you in Sinatra. Don't get your wet gloves dirty. We're going to save some lives. Coming, Pussycat. And of course, she says right behind you. So,
yeah. So there you
go. Righty here. Hang on.
My ribs.
Yeah, again.
My ribs.
Again. So. Okay, so we go back to the Carnage family. So it's hard to read this story where the hero essentially is a sniveling weakling. All right,
but look at that nice family photo.
Yeah. Well, neither Venom nor the cat can put up with his whining anymore, and they leave. Okay, we'll go back to the Carnage family where Demo Goblin wants to know what the plan is. Well, Carnage takes great umbrage to the fact that there is a plan, that he thinks there should be a plan. Shriek calms them down and makes peace and suggests that she get Carnage a big glass of milk and some Girl Scout cookies. Of course, they'll have to kill a few dozen Girl Scouts first. That is so funny.
So the two teams essentially are fighting amongst themselves. Spider-Man and Venom and Carnage and the Demogoblin, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so it looks like, Peter decides now to go to Forest Hills.
Of course.
So Mary Jane goes there and gets some cookies from Aunt May. But of course,
my ribs.
He can't say
my ribs.
He can't let and see, the thing is, Mary and Aunt May is worried about, Peter, you look terrible. What's wrong? Not, boy, Peter, I was worried about you in Midtown with all that slaughter going on. Not a word about that.
No,
that's only going to be on the news 24/7. Nobody cares about that. So May asks him what's wrong. He says, "Oh, I'm a real mess and I don't know where to turn." And May suggests, well, Peter, whatever it is, you'll do the right thing. Of course, all of this is overheard by Robot Dad.
Robot Dad's going to get jealous. He took the emotion chip like Data did in Star Trek Generations.
Wow, that's really stretching.
No, it was a Star Trek reference. I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, but it's Star Trek The Next Generation, which doesn't count.
Yeah.
No, it's never so dark. Anyway, Robot Dad. Now he overhears, and first we say, "Oh, it's you came to Aunt May instead of me, your old dad." And it's like, well, you weren't there when I was growing up. Well, and then of course, Robot Dad goes into sort of like, he talks about his experience in a Soviet prison and says, I loved your Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Your Uncle Ben was my brother, but frankly, they were naive and somewhat altruistic. And the real world, it just doesn't work that way. It's just full of a
the
lot.
Uncle Ben and Peter look like the American Gothic paintings. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but they were idealistic, and the real world just doesn't work that way, Peter.
I know.
All right. So this is interspersed between scenes of the Carnage family tearing up Midtown, and Demogoblin blows up an NYPD copter. The first evidence that the authorities are even remotely involved in trying to control this. Maybe somebody in editorial noticed that 5 issues in, maybe we ought to acknowledge that law enforcement should at least try
NYPD
to do something.
is involved. They start, and then Demogoblin blows the hell out of the chopper.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now the reference to the Carnage, and so the group has been slaughtering their way down 5th Avenue now. Okay, now let me kind of illustrate, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to see. People aren't going to be able to see this map. But
there you go.
Yeah. But anyway, this is kind of, well, it's still not good. But the New York area, essentially, you have the
tilt it down.
Down.
Well, that doesn't help it either.
Well, it doesn't help either. But anyway, you have the New York area. All right. So you have Westchester County, which is north of the Bronx. The Bronx is one of the main boroughs of New York City. After the Bronx, you have Harlem, okay, which is part of Midtown. Then, you got Central Park, which is surrounded by the Upper East and the Upper West Side. You start moving down Central Park, and right now they're on 5th Avenue. Can you imagine how much bloodletting there has
destruction everywhere?
How much destruction and bloodletting, and we've heard nothing about any superhero and other superhero involvement, any military involvement, nothing. Nothing. I mean, come on. There's got to be superheroes in town saying we got to stop this. None of them, nobody. Okay. Yeah. So this is just, you're just kind of expected to believe it. And then now the Carnage gang is in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. All right. And we're all supposed to be amused when Carnage says, if you don't like the food, kill the waiter. And we see the waiter being thrown out the window.
Yeah, I missed
it. And then Shriek apologizes for the lousy culinary experience, but Carnage says, don't sweat it, that he had fun slicing and dicing all of the customers. Aha, funny too. Okay, more body count. All right. First of all, are you telling me that ever since this started, restaurants are even going to be open? People are going to be going out to eat, while this tidal wave of havoc is making its way down Midtown. Yeah. The island would be under martial law. Yeah. There'd be curfews. Everybody would be restricted indoors, because the murder count has to be in the hundreds by now. All right.
Oh, did you see who's coming out of the sewer grate?
Yeah. Hey, hang on. So, but the writers expect the readers to be amused. See, go back to that panel.
Okay. The sewer grate one? Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Look at it. I mean, so Carnage, where should we go? Should we go? What does Carnage say here? I can't see.
A hike in the country?
Golfing? Nope. A hike in the country? Slaughter and mayhem? Bingo. Yeah. And this is supposed to be funny. Look at this. This is supposed to be funny. They're going down, do. And of course, then up out of the manhole comes Carrion. And he comes, he starts floating away. So
there he goes. Now, wait a minute. Is this the Carrion?
This is Malcolm McBride. This is going to be Malcolm McBride.
So the blonde guy from last month's Spider History.
Yes.
Got it.
It's going to be Malcolm McBride. Okay. So Spider-Man finally makes it back to the island, where he is greeted by a scene of the citizens of New York fighting each other, because this is the first hint, though, that the madness is spreading. And we find that out in later issues, what this is. But someone, that he saved says that ever since Carnage has been loose, all the crazies are coming out. And Spider-Man notes that it's as if seeing Carnage in action has set loose the darkest parts of their psyches. And he tries to tell the rampaging crowd, you can't do this. You can't use everything that's happening as an excuse to throw the law, common decency out the window. You've got to stop. I mean, really, come on. No, the world is going crazy around you. All right, but he's finally had enough. And then we get this last panel. Okay, you want to act like devils? I'll treat you like devils. And I'm always tired of holding back, trying to draw a moral line that no one sees anymore. But from here on, I'll do whatever it takes. You get no mercy from Spider-Man. I mean it. I really mean it this time. Yep. I do. I really do. I'm mad. I'm coming for you. I'm going to do some nasty stuff. 5 parts down, 9 to go.
And that will be continued.
And that you boys and girls, you will have to come from next month because
June.
I need to get the defibrillator out.
Put some oxygen on. You get 5 issues of Maximum Carnage.
We got 9 to go. This is so appalling. This is again beyond the fact that it's a silly slugfest.
Let me ask the question. Was this a good month for Spider history? It's memorable.
It's memorable, all right. Just like when the Ayatollah Khomeini was named Times Man of the Year. Memorable, not good, but memorable.
Yeah.
It is an appalling story. Marvel wants to tell they want to tell this type of story and be completely dishonest of what such an event would entail. Right. And then they downplay it by having the villains cracking jokes all the time.
Yeah. Well, they're Joker and Harley Quinn is what they are.
But that's
perfect. Well, perfectly analogy, McNulty.
Yeah, it's a good analogy, but it's awful. I mean, it's just awful. I mean, it's like we're supposed to ignore what's going on because they say all these cutesy things. What's going on is an absolute horror show. A graphic, ugly. And again, no, I don't try to take my comic books too seriously. I mean, come on, they're comic books. But
Matt says it was a good month for JR to eviscerate some stories.
But if you're going to tell this type of story, you have to be honest. And Marvel is being far from honest, and they're entirely disingenuous. And again, 5 issues, and we've seen no interest from other superheroes, no interest from the military, the National Guard, nothing. We've seen one NYPD copter. And then it took them 5 issues to show up. And this thing has been going on at least 2 days, because I believe that there was a reference to Cloak losing Dagger 2 days ago. Right, so it's been going on for 2 days.
Yeah.
So honestly, it just gets worse.
We'll take a few questions before we wrap this up.
Okay.
Then JR is going to get on the defibrillator. Matthew Kyle says, I've heard that the term maximum garbage comes from Marvel itself making fun of this. Is it true? I don't know, but we've been calling it maximum garbage for years.
I don't know. To be honest, I mean, it's easy to say Marvel, but not everybody at Marvel thought this was a good idea.
Yeah.
Not everybody thought that this was a work of art, I'm sure.
If Peter's parents were really human, his father would spend much of his time telling Peter, hey, did I ever tell you the time I used to be a spy? And Peter's saying, yes, Dad, all the time. Matt has a Star Trek question. Didn't JR remember the episode where the crew was stranded with Harry Mudd, that the main male android was was known as Norman?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, I didn't know that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Warnisek says those 3 villains walking off look like Dorothy and the 3 from the Wizard of Oz.
Wouldn't be so. I'm glad you said that, Hornacek, because it reminded me of something, and I couldn't place it's like that looks like something. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah,
it's exactly right.
McNulty says, news media, what Carnage massacre? I didn't see any report of the Associated Press news wire besides Trump isn't involved, so who cares? Oh, McNulty.
Oh, no. Don't
start doing politics on me.
Let's not go into those waters.
Josh says, remember when Carrion was actually cool, interesting, and intimidating when he first appeared in Spec? Yeah, I agree. Those were the good times.
He should never come back. He should never have come back when he was not the clone of Miles Warren.
Yeah. Matt says, leave it to Maximum Carnage to have a Clone Saga connection with Carrion in it. Mary says, I remember JR saying once that Spider-Man should have killed a murderous psychopath villain like Carnage. How do you, Brad JR, feel about a hero like oh, do you like Peter to kill his Joker? Peter doesn't kill, so Punisher kills.
Yeah.
Peter does not kill. I think Norman would push him as close as he could come.
Yeah,
but I don't think Peter kills.
Yeah, I've addressed this before, and to be honest, it's funny. We've been doing this podcast for how long, Brad? 15 years.
Yeah.
So God only knows what I've said in the past. I mean, there's 600 podcasts. Jared, did you say this? No, I didn't say. Well, what about this? And you play. Oh yeah, I guess
15 years ago. Yeah.
But what I've always said, like with Batman, why doesn't Batman kill the Joker or whatever? And I mean, I don't want to see Peter Parker kill. I don't want to see Spider-Man kill. No. That's not what Spider-Man does. I don't want to see Spider-Man kill Norman Osborn. One, because I like Norman Osborn, but two, I want him to want to. I want him to want to, because that's a thoroughly human reaction to someone who's murdered the woman you loved. But he's Spider-Man. He doesn't cross that line. Right. But what I've always said about villains like Carnage and the Joker or whatever, when you make them so disgusting, when you make them so violent, when you make them so murderous, that then you make your hero look ineffectual. You make him look weak. You make it look like he doesn't have the guts to do what has to be done. And that's where I think it crossed the lines, where when you expect, when the story leads you to the hero has to kill this person and he doesn't, because of course story, well, here's a more recent example, and this was a slot example. The first Spider-Verse, where or maybe it was the second one, I don't know, but where they finally, after the space vampires or whatever the hell they are, literally kill thousands of spider people across the universe,
including one version of the Amazing Friends,
including May Parker's version. I mean, Peter Parker,
Peter Parker MC2,
of MC2, and and May Parker has then in her hand the cube or whatever, the crystal that contains the soul of the father of space vampire, and I'm not going to kill him because I'm too much. No, that's not human. I mean, these people, it's like when you see what these people did and how many people they sucked the life out of. No, human beings, I'm sorry, you're not going to, I'm better than that. I certainly wouldn't be better than that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is, we don't want our heroes to kill. We don't, because they're our heroes. They're better than us. I want Peter Parker to be better than me. Now, Frank Castle is not better than me, but Frank Castle is not really a hero. Frank Castle is a psychopath.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah. And as much fun as I have, making the Punisher and saying, they only, kill them all. No, Frank Castle is a psychopath. We don't want somebody like Frank. Right. But the thing is, like I said, when you write villains so disgusting that the hero doesn't kill him or doesn't want to kill him or doesn't think about killing him, I think you make your hero look very weak.
You've taken the humanization out of them.
Exactly.
The thought of killing them should enter the hero's mind, but the hero is better than that, and they overcome the internal conflict, and hence they're the hero.
Right.
Like is what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. But actually in Maximum Carnage later, Spider-Man does have to confront that, and he does briefly cross that bridge, but see, that's the thing though, he no spoiler, obviously he can't go through with it, and it's like, I mean, the story, you've gone this far, why don't you, but you can't kill Carnage because he's too popular.
Right.
So see, you've set up a situation where you can't possibly deliver on the story. You can't. And I said this about Civil War, and why Civil War was such a bad idea from day one, because you can't possibly tell the story that you're lining up to tell. You can't deliver the proper payoff, because then a month later, everybody's got to go back to liking each other, which would not happen.
Right. So. You mentioned the 15th anniversary of the podcast is this August. Can you believe we've been doing this 15 years?
No,
15 years. I'm
surprised I haven't been fired.
I'm surprised I haven't either. 23rd August is also the anniversary of the website. This will be the 23rd anniversary of the website. We might do something. Wow. We'll do a little special August podcast on the 15th anniversary. That'll be fun.
Wow.
Matthew Kai, here, I'll get through the comments. Remember this was ranked in the top 100 Marvel stories apparently a few years back. Matthew, what's your source? Who ranked this? watch, it'll be the crawl space.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Either CBR or the late Newsarama or somebody would have done this and this would have showed up. And again, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm taking it too seriously, but this is an appalling story. I mean, this is not a fun slugfest. This is not just a fun.
There's mass murder in this one. Yeah,
exactly. This is not a fun, mindless slugfest. And but again, like I said at the very beginning, none of what I say matters. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The story, it's sold. It's been reprinted in trades 3 times. It was a popular video game, and people continually refer to it as a guilty pleasure, or even not a guilty one at all. They love it. So
it is a guilty pleasure for me. And as I'm reading through this, I'm like, oh, that was cool. I remember this in the 90s. Yeah. Josh says, to wash the taste out of the story of our mouths, what are some good Spider-Man comics from the 90s? Despite all the crap, I do think there was a lot of good from that decade. We mentioned one in Friday Night Fights, the previous show. Untold Tales was some good stories from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The Amazing 400.
Yeah,
that was good.
The death of the genetically altered actress. When they brought Norman back, I honestly felt
Spider-Man 75 is one of your all-time favorites, if not the.
When they brought Norman back was a great story. And then, really, after the Clone Saga, except for Sensational, Amazing, written by Tom DeFalco. Spectacular, written by J.M. DeMatteis, and Peter Parker, written by Howard Mackey. Yes, written by Howard Mackey.
And John Romita Jr.
Yeah, John Romita Jr. on it. We're all very good. It was I thoroughly enjoyed that period of Spider-Man. The problem was the bad taste from the Clone Saga, and the implosion of the comics industry. Basically the sales kept going down, and Marvel decided to completely crap on all of those subplots and all those titles and all of those writers except Mackey. Canceled them all, wrapped them all up, rebooted with Byrne and Mackey, and really, to be honest, it hasn't really recovered. I mean, that was a big stumbling block.
McNulty says, yes, it's true. Maximum garbage at Marvel, according to the Life of Riley. So there you go. McNulty says it. Didn't the Joker shield the horror with humor? Yes, he did. So does Carnage, kind of. That's why they're kind of copies. But
there's a difference though between. I mean, here's the thing. First of all, this is relentless. This is a relentless 14-parter. Okay. And these characters are showing up all the time and they're constantly yucking it up. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, though, it's one thing where a sadistic villain is being sadistic with his humor. Mm-hmm. But it's another thing where you honestly feel like you're being effed with, where, the writers are trying to give you the idea that this is just a harmless little supervillain story. Look how clever and funny these are, when they're actually committing acts of mass murder. Like I said, this feels, and again, I have not read a lot of Batman Joker stories, to be honest, frankly, but this feels like a very disingenuous, dishonest story.
Yeah. Matt says, Peter shouldn't kill, but Maximum Carnage makes you want to, and that's not good. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, the whole idea is that you should push your hero to his limits. Exactly. But like I said, though, if you keep making your villain so disgusting and letting him get away with so much, and your hero doesn't pull that plug, you make your hero look weak instead of strong.
Wants to know, I remember you placing the story as one of your worst Spider-Man stories of all time. Where would you rank Maximum Carnage now?
It's still in my top 10. I mean, the worst, obviously, I think, is still One More Day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, really, you can't go wrong with the trifecta of One More Day, Maximum Garbage, and the Clone Saga.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the slot stuff would be in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Clone Conspiracy, because I look back at what I considered like the worst stories, and one of them was the introduction to Madam Web, which again, I think is a horrible, horrible story.
The slot one where Aunt May blames Peter for running out. You hate that one. You always say F's are for offensive, and that one offended you. I remember you said that.
Yeah.
Josh says, does JR not like the Joker?
No, JR likes the Joker fine.
Yeah.
And Joker's a great villain. I mean, he's one of the greatest pop culture villains of all time. But what I'm saying is, it's like anything is, when you keep asking, why doesn't the hero kill the villain? Mm-hmm. You've taken the villain too far. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's like, but I will say that Hush, where Batman was going to kill the Joker, and Commissioner Gordon stopped him. And Batman, because basically he said, Batman, I can't let you do this. If you do this, I have to go after you. I've put up with you. I've defended you because I know that you would never cross that line. But if you cross this line, I'm going to have to go after you. Right. So Batman wanted to kill the Joker. He was ready to kill the Joker. But no, I love the Joker's a great villain. I mean, come on. Unless he's played by Jared Leto.
Matthew says, I wouldn't mind. By the way, Snyder Cut, you watch it?
No, I don't get HBO Max. And I ain't paying for it either.
Matthew says, I wouldn't mind him not killing if they had him, beat someone up instead of crying the whole damn time. About his ribs. My ribs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Peter's coming off wrong. When Venom is right, when Venom is in the right, something's wrong. When you're agreeing with Venom.
I will never forgive Slott for what he did to Mayday in Spider-Verse. Amen, brother. It's awful. That's just awful to piss on a universe that DeFalco and friends and Olaf and several others spent so much time on, and to alter it for just a couple issues. It was awful.
Well, see, again, okay, where's editorial? Where is Tom Brevoort? Where is somebody telling him, no, you can't do this. We're not going to let you do this. We're not going to let you kill the Peter Parker of this universe.
Yeah.
We're not. We had too much invested in it. We're not going to let you do it. So, I mean, we can blame writers for their stupid ass ideas, but ultimately it's like
the green light.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Spider-Verse also had Spidey essentially going, I don't know what to do as well. So there's another thing that this hasn't come with. Yeah, Spider-Man often in these big things takes a back seat and lets the plot and the other characters just roll with it. He doesn't really take front and center, does he?
No, he's not. He's not the prime mover of the series events. I mean, he's the hero. He's our hero. He's the star. He should be the prime mover of these series events. But like you said, he's often really in the sidecar to everything else going on. Like Spider-Verse, for example, was how many variations of Spider-Man can we acknowledge?
The comic book, not the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the comic book. And it's like, okay, a certain amount would have been a clever story, but to absolutely cram in every single one was ridiculous.
Matthew,
I would have liked to seen about half a dozen to maybe 10 with, Cepeda Man and Spider-Man Noir and Mayday. That would have been fun. That probably would have been a very fun story.
Matthew says he's citing his source. It was a few years Marvel asked fans to vote for their favorite stories. ASM 121 was number 1. It's probably on the Marvel website, if I remember. Didymus, would the solution for a murderous character be to use him sparingly?
Well, that would be one solution. Another solution would be not to have him talk so much.
And be so happy about their killing. I don't know.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I mean, you can't do it. They're too popular.
Yeah.
A good bad guy is too popular. You can't kill it. I mean, really, you can't. They're too good. Come on, the Green Goblin. I mean, I love Norman Osborn. Great character. He should have been killed off a long time ago in real life, but he's just too good to keep dead. So
maybe I'm mixing Maximum Carnage up with another story, says Hornacek, but doesn't MJ go partying in later issues to distract herself? Does she go to a party in Maximum Carnage?
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't really read it in a long time. This is the first time I've
read
really
since the
read
90s.
It. But she has gone partying in other critical Manhattan Island shattering events. Yes, she has.
Yeah.
If not this one, she's done another.
I loved the Crawl Space panel reviewing that Slott issue of Aunt May blaming Peter for running away when Ben was killed just for Michael Bailey's reaction. He was very angry. Yeah, he was pissed, wasn't he?
You guys think I'm nuts? I mean, come on, Bailey was really upset.
Oh man, Bailey was such a fun element of the show. Mary, it says, last question for the dynamic spider duo. Is that what happens when are we the dynamic spider duo if George isn't here?
No, I guess so.
If the MCU and Sony decide to adapt Maximum Carnage, how would you guys improve on the adaptation? Is this story salvageable for a good movie? Oh, I could see Sony doing this.
Well, yeah, I could too. Well, the Marvel Civil War apparently could be salvaged, but it had to be stripped of virtually everything that was written in the original Civil War.
Right. There's no new warriors. There's no penance.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, there is a good story that can be done. There is a good story.
Yeah.
But do I trust Sony to do it? Absolutely not.
Josh, were the Clone Saga and the Howard Mackie relaunch really worse than the worldwide Parker Industries era, though? I would say no. I like the Clone Saga better than Parker Industries, honestly. I really do. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing, though. The Clone Saga and the Howard Mackie relaunch were, and again, I guess really we should call it Mackie Byrne relaunch. I mean, honestly, those guys were just picking up a check. They didn't make the editorial decisions to. Those were Clone Saga and the relaunch were editorial decisions, which harmed the character.
Yeah.
Worldwide and Parker Industries was stupid storytelling.
It was very
to
much
me.
So
To me, there's very much a difference. It was like the intent. I mean, the intent of the Clone Saga and the relaunch. Well, one, it was offensive to fans. I mean, it was an insult. It was a deliberate. F you to the fans.
Right.
We are going to do Spider-Man our way, and we don't care what you think.
Yeah. No doubt.
Whereas Worldwide and Parker Industries, again,
Matthew says the difference with Spider-Verse and this was the side stories were actually good. The main story was where it failed.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't read the side one, so.
There was a point in the 50s and 60s where the Joker didn't kill anyone. No,
yeah. I mean, the 50s and the 50s and 60s were so cartoony though that it pretty well almost resulted in the cancellation of the Batman comics because the sales were down. The
TV show brought it back, didn't it?
The TV show brought it back, and then Denny O'Neil rescued Batman by taking him back to his kind of dark detective roots.
Yeah.
But I mean, best thing, so Batman need to get serious again, but after a while, it just becomes. Again, like I've always said, sometimes I think you take it too far. When the Joker walks into a house and slaughters an entire family, and he's still alive at the end of the story. No, I don't think so.
Let's see. We still got Venkman says yes. Mary Jane dancing during one of the web issues. Okay, so
I guess we'll get to it then.
Mary Jane is going to dance.
Again, how could you possibly go dancing? How would anything be open?
Liz went off and signed Harry's death certificate.
I know.
I know. Mayhem in the streets. Let's just go get some. Let's go get some chores done.
I mean, look what happened. And again, I know this didn't happen for like many years later, but look what happened when Hurricane Sandy hit New York City. I mean, come on.
Right.
Look what happened when 9/11 happened, and that was an isolated event.
Yeah.
I mean, that was isolated to one part of New York City. Look what happened after there. Yeah. Everything shut down.
If Brad and JR are the dynamic spider duo, does that make George Batgirl?
Oh, I'm hiding. Get down, everybody. Get down, everybody. Yeah, Horacek, you're on your own there.
My buddy Fitz, what's up, man? We used to work with Fitz. How you buddy?
Oh.
So you want to take some more questions, or should we wrap it up? What do you think?
To be honest, I'm ready to go. I mean, if there are a few more, but I mean, I don't want to turn any kind of like I don't want to turn anybody away at the door, but
no.
It is getting
here real quick. If you got any more, get them in real quick. We're gonna let's go another 8 minutes.
Yep, and then we'll pull the plug at 1.
Yeah, we'll
or midnight.
Pull the plug. Yeah. McNulty says, don't forget, according to the Sony leak, one of the execs pitched a Maximum Carnage movie as an Avengers-style team-up between Spider-Man, Venom, Black Cat, and Spider-Man 2099 after all their movies. There you go.
I tell you, and I don't remember all the Sony hack emails. I do remember like a Spider 29 version, but I saw some of those, and whoever was coming up with those ideas, they were on drugs. They had to have been on drugs. Can you
imagine all those characters fighting Woody Harrelson as Carnage?
It's funny about the Venom movie, because I haven't seen it. But apparently,
really?
No, I haven't. I have no interest in it. Yeah. But I found it offensive. I was hoping the thing would fail because I knew if it succeeded, it would only encourage Sony to continue their stupupid ass ideas.
I think Morbius is going to test it as if anything.
But Spencer saw it, and Spencer and I, to be honest, we have a lot of differences. Spencer is not a cranky old man like his dad, and Spencer is willing to, but he didn't like the Venom movie. He said, no, that's not, he said, my idea of Eddie Brock is not Tom Hardy mumbling. It's like, no, that's not my idea of Eddie Brock. So I was kind of surprised. Spencer didn't like the Venom movie.
Hey, we were talking about how we're going to break down these issues. Here, by the way, that's the trade that's the cover of the trade I always think about. That's on here. So we did 5 chapters today. We're going to go through in June. We'll do web spec So we'll do 4 chapters, chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9 in June. And 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in July. So as we're celebrating our independence from England, we are celebrating our independence from this storyline in July.
The only thing I'll say is, and again, having not read those issues in a very long time, to be honest, if there might be a little change, because particularly since the last part of it is a double issue, I believe, because it's unlimited again. But one of the things with this issue, with this story, was that issue 5 was a very natural breaking off point, because Spider-Man decides he's not going to take it anymore.
Oh, so you might include some.
So it just depends on how 9 and 10 end.
Okay.
But I mean, it's going to go another couple issues, but anyway, that's in general what the plan is, to do 4 and then 5, and we'll just kind of see how it rolls.
Right. There you go. Let's see. Didymus says J.R. Gacy actually did mock his victims as he tortured them. John,
again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that. I mean, again, I'm just saying that, do they all talk this way? I mean, are they always talking this way? Are they incessantly talking like Carnage does? That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure some of these guys did, to be honest.
Josh says JR said that the Spider-Man comics now are fully recovered after the 90s relaunch, but I'm curious to know what he thinks of JMS's run in retrospect. It was a higher point, I thought.
It was a higher point, but it started off kind of weak, and then it ended obviously with one more day.
One more day, yeah.
But no, I always thought that JMS's start got off on the wrong foot, because he started with the Moreland story, and frankly, I don't think a lot of us were interested in the Moreland story. A lot of us just wanted to, after we'd seen years and years and years of just stories that went nowhere, and we just wanted to see some short, punchy, nice Spider-Man stories, and then he starts us off on another long event, which you knew was going to end unsatisfactorily. You knew it was going to end, and you knew how it was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So Straczynski did a great marriage. He did one of the best representations of Aunt May ever. No, it was a higher point than most, but
Hornacek here, hold us on a second. Let's see here. Hornacek says that what we should do is review the Venom movie for a Patreon goal. Actually, our next goal is Spider-Man 3 for the Patreon goal, and at the moment I just looked at, we're at 65%. So if you join Patreon, we hit 100%, we will review a DVD commentary. Maybe this could be the next one. Maybe this will review. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? You could watch it with us, JR.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting, says Matt, if a Spider-Man character had a story where he turned completely twisted dark? We did that in the Clone Saga. Didn't he got in a web ball? And he was the man spider, wasn't he? Or what was that called?
Well,
after his parents died again.
Yeah, there's all kinds of what if stories. In fact, isn't Chip Zdarsky now doing after Spider? He did Spider-Man Life Story.
Spider's Shadow is the
where Spider-Man didn't give up the symbiote. So, but I mean, there's been there was a what if story where.
There it is. I am the Spider. That's why I was referencing Hornacek.
Yeah. There have been what if stories. There was a what if story where Spider-Man killed Kraven the Hunter after Kraven's resurrection, and there was another story where after in fact, this was one Peter David wrote, where Spider-Man didn't come back after talking to the giant spider, and so he became poison, and he was consumed by the symbiote then, and then he went and revived Gwen Stacy from the grave. It was, it's been done before, trust me, and it very seldom is ever any good.
Yeah. This next one, Matt says that I actually had to buy part 3, which is this issue. He paid $10 for it. I'm actually trying to complete my amazing run. I'm 122 issues away from a full run, and I'm not happy about paying $10 for this issue. Well, in '93, I paid $1.95. So,
well, I was about to say you. Yeah, I was about to say, have you started paying for McFarlane issues yet?
oh yeah, if you go back to the 298,
Have you tried to pay for Amazing 300 yet?
300 will break you, dude. Wonder, Matt, do you have 300? I only have it because I picked it up in 1988. Josh wants to know, JR, who do you dislike more, Carnage or Moreland?
Oh wow!
There you go.
Wow, you may have stumped the panel with that one.
Man.
I would have to say probably. I can't say. I don't know. I'd have to seriously think about it. I think they are both creatively bankrupt characters who are less effective each time they appear.
Yeah. Matt just wrote in. He has a complete McFarlane run. There you go.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad,
did you have a home equity loan to pay for it?
You and Matthew Cal paid too much for part 3. I paid $1.95. He paid $10. We're both overpriced. He has from issue 172 to current with no holes. Good job, Matt.
Wow. That's pretty good.
All right. We are right at the 2-hour moment of this recording. 25 people watching us consistently right now. 25 are watching us.
You poor folks.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We started this at 8 o'clock. It is now midnight. A lot of you have watched us all 4 shows. You outlasted George. You 25 people outlasted George. So thank you all for watching. JR, I will see you next month where we continue Maximum Carnage. There we go.